think of it as working in a retail store and having to manufacture the clothes in the back. You know what I mean? It's just like, it's happening to you in real time, and you've got to deal with it. So these people with this passion, over time, they've like succeeded to a point, but then that it just kind of beats them down, right? So they're just so overwhelmed with the day to day that they forget that vision that they had that started this concept out.
There's a thing about, I tripped over a really special older woman in my early days in Vistage. Her name is Norma Rosenberg. I used to call her the Jewish Gandhi. Like, if she was on camera right now, all you'd see is a puff of white hair about like here. Really teeny tiny lady. But she had a way of like dropping wisdom bombs, like in a dainty kind of grandmotherly way, but it would hit the ground like a grenade. And she said something to me in front of all the other Vistage chairs in Manhattan. She said that it's been her experience that CEOs throw psychological reins around the company and pull it back to the level they're comfortable at. So I think what ends up happening is we hit this peak in performance. How do we break through to that next level? Does that sound relevant to your world?
Oh, absolutely relevant. In fact, it's one of the things that I've got a bunch of people working on my team, and they all bring different specialties. But the one little thing I do is I'm that guy that says, I don't care how many sales you have. I don't care how big you've grown. You really need to think about what's next, because managers in this business, the first half of my career was in corporate, right? Like working for the bigger chains. And you'd go in and you'd find that people would say, well, we got killed on Friday night. We got destroyed on Saturday night. We were murdered on Sunday. And it was like one of the most powerful things I could do is just change the wording, right? It's like, you handle Friday night. You destroyed on Saturday night. You were freaking ran through the finish line on Sunday. And all of a sudden I took over the Olive Gardens here in Atlanta, and we were averaging about $50,000 a week, $55,000 a week. I left there about 2.5 years later. We were averaging $75,000 a week. And from that time, they kept climbing. And it's just changing mentality. Managers will, just as your point, they'll manage the business down to what they can control, right? So you got to get that person inspired and feel the courage to like, no. You're going to step out and it's going to feel uncomfortable, but you're going to figure out how to handle it. And then you're going to step again. And once you teach people how to do that, like how to walk into the wilderness and not be afraid, and they're courageous. Restaurant industry people, and you have to stop me if I wind on too long because it's my habit. But restaurant industry people, they are a unique breed. They want to go and talk to that table of people that are angry. They really want to go into the kitchen and figure out why that dish came up incorrectly. They really want to work with servers who are ex-actresses or actors, and or kind of they want to touch on all those areas and deliver this like vision in their head. So it's awesome when you can work with them, because they really are. Get them out of their doldrums, and these are the most inspirational people you'll ever come across.
Yeah, that's like one of the things I talk about in my presentations is creating an ethos of deliberate discomfort, because all growth comes from being uncomfortable.
Yep.
And it's weird if they don't have someone to hold them accountable. I'm talking about CEOs in general, specifically in your world, it's restaurateurs, but they find that level, and then they stagnate.
Yep.
And then frankly, navel gaze, bring up kiddie pool issues instead of really tough ones that they've been ignoring for years. Yep. But I noticed that there was two things about a restaurateur here in town. His name's James. He owns 2 restaurants here right now, and he's about to open a third. A really interesting guy. I figured out one day he's really just like a professional buddy. You know what I mean? You walk in and you think he makes you think like you're the only person in the room. Right. He's great at that. Like, I don't know how good he is as a cook or any of that stuff, but the food is excellent.
Right.
So he kind of has cracked this code on it. But let me tell you, one time I'm working a deal in a Vistage meeting here on Long Island, and I'm talking about him to another guy because this guy was looking at buying restaurants. He had killed it in a different industry and now is becoming a restaurateur. So, and I get a phone call from James, and James goes, "Hey, Mark, listen, I got my liquor guy here. What's that scotch that you really love?" And I was like, "Damn, dude, this is either like great customer service or I have an issue." or both.
Little bit of both.
I'm thinking of putting a roof on this guy's restaurant over here,